Okay, so hello everybody and welcome to the Goldeneye side event. My name is Marko Paavola and I'm from the Technical Research Center of Finland and I'm the coordinator contact of this project. And Goldeneye is an Earth observation and data fusion platform for certain applications in the mining industry, and I will first give a quick overview of the project and let then our expert panelist to start speaking. Okay, so VTT coordinates this as I told you earlier. It's a quite big project. The total budget is 10.7 million euros, and it's an innovation action project in Horizon 2020. Project duration is 3.5 years, so we have a half a year extension because of the COVID. And I must say that despite of the COVID, we have progressed quite well in our project, so everything is going quite smoothly forward. The consortium also is quite large, so we have 16 partners, and those include mining solution providers from various disciplines, technology companies. So we have sensor and drones and AI companies. We have mining sites, 5 of those. So what the things we develop will be tested also in the field. So in Romania, Bulgaria, Finland, Germany, and Kosovo. We have universities included. So we have University of Oulu from Finland. It's near to the place where I live. Universitatea Tehnică Cluj-Napoca from Romania, and then Sofia University from Bulgaria. And of course, we have the Research Institute, which means VTT. And here is the overview picture about the project. So as you can see, we have several data sources on the left-hand side. So we do some development of new measurements technologies. For example, VTT develops the proximal sensors, but the main role here is the platform, satellite and drone data. So we combine the data from these sources. We have the data acquisition systems, data processing system, and especially data pre-processing is very important. And we have the data fusion in the platform side. So from these 3 sources, the data is combined, and then we build applications based on the data. And Taras will tell more about this, so I will be very brief, but the applications will be worker safety related, operational efficiency related, and environmental monitoring related applications. So Taras will talk about the platform and data acquisition, processing and visualization, and then there will be more about the applications in the field trials presented by Kamen and Andreas. And indeed, the applications are intended to provide actionable insights based on the data. And the speakers today, so I am Marko, as I told you. Then we have Taras Matselyk next, who is the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Technical Officer at OPNET. Welcome, Taras. And our scientific, so Taras is also the technical manager of the project. Our scientific manager is Professor Kamen Bogdanov from Sofia University, and he will be sharing the session with Andreas, who is the head of competence team, geology and raw materials from Phiweek. And finally, we have the networking session in the end, which is hosted by Seva, who is Business Development Director from OPNET. So welcome all the speakers. And quick look to the schedule. So the introduction is soon ending, and then we will start with the Earth observations with satellite platforms presented by Taras. We will have a small break, 5 minutes only, so be quick, at 9:55, and then there will be a session about field trials led by Kamen and Andreas, and then the workshop and networking event, which is hosted by Seva. And then there's a note from the organizers of the event. Please make or present your questions via chat panel, please. Sorry, it should say present questions via chat panel. So we will of course answer speaking to those. Okay, so this was my part, and I think I remained in 5 minutes or so, and I will stop now sharing, and Taras, it's your turn.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being with us so early and for following this side event. I'm very happy to be here and to present to you about the progress that we have achieved on the Goldeneye project. Today's agenda will be of this section will be focused on the platform capabilities that we have developed, and it will include the following parts. So first we will give you the overview of the processing capabilities and automation capabilities of the Goldeneye platform. Then, based on the Goldeneye field trials, we will demonstrate the structure and components of the backend based on virtual demo. So the format of the session was originally planned as a real in-person workshop where we would be even able to give some hands-on sessions, but in order to conduct this particular virtual session, we chosen for the virtual demo where the real commands and real screenshots of the backend applications and will be presented as a set of slides. So the whole presentation consists of almost 90 slides, but we will walk through them in a kind of like a multiplication kind of mode. So we will be switching the slides quickly as if we were performing these commands. This set of slides is intended to be used as a tutorial after the completion of this presentation, especially when you are using the platform in the future, if there are any users among you who will be taking benefits. And then we will end up with a Q&A session. Also, there is a planned live demonstration of the graphical user interface, which will take place at the end of the side event, at the last half an hour. So we are hoping that everybody will stay with us till then, so that we could show you more about the visualization and interaction capabilities of the platform. The overview of the engine could be described that is based on a number of predecessor products that have existed from different partners of the consortium, which are all assembled together in one Goldeneye platform. So Goldeneye platform will have a graphical user interface and the backend, powerful backend, which we called Oakley, and some of the commands will be presented to you. The main purpose of the Goldeneye platform is to make the remote sensing data processing easy and affordable. And to do this, Goldeneye platform integrates so-called artificial intelligence knowledge packs, which are basically like cookbooks for AI and for the backend processing engine to enable execution of specific use cases, such as mineral detection, time series processing, or for the vegetation purposes, for vegetation dynamics analysis, for exploration and ecological monitoring of the mining sites in different cycles of the mining activities. There will be dedicated AI knowledge packs developed for each and every use case, which will be described later in this presentation. And dedicated AI knowledge packs integrate analysis-ready data. So there are some AI knowledge packs which involve less of AI, more linear processing, saying this, then nevertheless, that makes them still very powerful, because traditional analysis-ready data preparation activities could be also executed with this approach, such as generation of multi-temporal data sets, which are suitable for further analysis. Sometimes even fusing the very diverse data sets together so that more complex calculations could be performed on them. So first, before we dive into the details, I would like to describe to you about who and which partners or which actors will be using the platform. So first of all, there are on-platform actors which are participating in the Goldeneye, not necessarily consortium. Of course, all consortium partners are presented here, are listed here, but there is also possibility to perform off-platform data delivery, processing, and publishing. And Goldeneye platform would allow these actors to act together through the set of APIs and secure access procedures. So there are three main roles for the actors. The first one is a data provider. So data provider role is to, as the name implies, to provide various Earth observation data, remote sensing data, in situ measurement, among the many other that are possible to generate. The data that has been collected at this stage could be either processed on the platform with the platform capabilities or off the platform. And this role is dedicated to the data processor actor. And finally, when the data is analyzed and analysis is generated, it could be published for the visualization. Again, this role is called data publisher. And again, this could be on the platform and off platform. I will explain how these different actors interact together in the next slide on the high-level architecture. So this is, as promised, this is a high level of architecture of the product, which is arranged, it's a complex structure which was already developed and it is running in the prototype phase. We are testing the scalability and performance, and already the first users are using it. These are today one of the partners of Goldeneye Consortium. And they work on the long time series processing for surface displacement analysis with interferometric SAR data provided through the platform and consumed, processed, and delivered to the visualization. So the main components of the platforms are the data inputs. So this is where the data providers come in. Then through the set of architectural implementations which assure the access control and security monitoring and performance of the platform. These are technical pillars which are protecting like modes, the entry into the platform. Then everything is based on the compute jobs which are executed through the command line interface language on the Oakley platform, which could then be executed as just processes in the virtual machines or as Docker containers on the larger distributed architectures. Again, this could be done through this Oakley platform, which resembles to a certain degree popular orchestration, IT orchestration platforms like Kubernetes, like Ansible, and others with whom some of you might have experience with. The data which is being generated by the compute jobs is migrating through several sets of storage buckets. We call them buckets for the reason because they could be deployed in different hardware architectures. So, for example, the EO data buckets, which are mimicking the way how Copernicus DIAS platforms offer the data, provides us with the source data. The commercial or other party data could also be integrated in this storage, and this storage is typically large, could spawn petabytes of storage, and fairly cheap and relatively slow, because the processing is not intended to be performed on this data. We only need fast read and fast transfer operations from this storage into the compute environment. The compute environment that I already mentioned could be on virtual machines and Dockers, and the main requirement here is fast processing, a lot of RAM, and necessary resources, necessary computing resources, which could include GPUs as well, for example, for some AI analysis. When the data is being prepared and analyzed, we are working with the in bucket, which includes data stacks. So data stacks is the first iteration of analysis-ready data. It's homogeneous, sometimes products, or homogeneous or homogenized time series of products, which have been calibrated, geometrically corrected, if necessary, auto-rectified, the processing, like atmospheric corrections could be done, radiometric calibration could be performed, terrain corrections, and most important, the co-registration of the images. So this is a very important part, because co-registration, but at the stage of the stacks, the data is still not homogeneous, but in different products. So for example, Sentinel-1 products will be in one stack, Sentinel-2 products will be in other stacks, etc. The in-storage typically is based on fast storage devices such as NVMe hard drives or fast SSD drives, because we need the ultimate performance here, so that these stacks could be created quickly from the raw source data. As I mentioned, this is the first stage of analysis-ready data preparation, because before any complex activities could be performed, we need to produce so-called heterogeneous analysis-ready data. This is where the diverse data stacks will be assembled into precisely co-registered data cubes. We like to call them hypercubes, because we could easily mix the data from Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-1, Terrasar, and even drones, remote sensor data, into these tensors. So again, the out storage is also based on SSD or NVMe devices, typically separate hardware, so that the write and read operations could be performed in parallel without affecting the system bus performance. Sometimes they could be even located on different VMs or in different Docker containers and in different compute jobs. And this is in this storage, we also store the out data, which resides as a set of tensors, and could also be converted into the NV format or cloud-optimized GeoTIFFs. So what happens later is this analyzed data needs to be visualized, and this is where the publishing process is working. Because so far, this process that I described in this section is performed by the data processors. So the final step is the data publishers, is when the cloud-optimized GeoTIFFs are being published into the S3 cloud-optimized storage. So it's a COS devices, and they could be distributed through the cloud, sometimes spawning multiple providers. And this is where this data is being served through the GUI interface. So this is part of this, which is highlighted here, for different types of outputs. And this process is guided with the artificial intelligence assistant, which helps the users of the platform to interact with the platform in natural human language. This way minimizing the need for training and the need for, actually it's even time, because it's much easier to work with the platform in natural common language as well, so that you don't have to know all the buttons, all the settings, all the clicks that you need to perform in order to get to the necessary results. Last but not least, the system was designed to be interoperable with the Euro data cubes, and today we already integrated the ingest of the raw data through the Euro data cube facility presented through the Sentinel Hub API. So now a quick move into the data flow diagrams where we explain how the data is moving. So from the data sources on the left of this picture, the data is being acquired and stored in the EO data bucket. This is a long-term storage, and this is where the raw data resides. When the partner-specific applications or proprietary code or any user application which needs to create results or generate results in the platform, this recycling of the data is implemented through the processing from Earth observation data stacks into Earth observation data cubes, and eventually into process data which presents Earth observation data insights, which are then published through the artificial intelligence platform delivery interfaces, and then presented to the Goldeneye application and service providers through the set of platform interfaces. The users of the platform through the web request and response interface could interact with the data, as well as Goldeneye and non-Goldeneye end users could access the platform through the set of APIs and system interfaces, kind of like machine-to-machine interfaces. The Euro Data Cube facility also is integrated through the set of data cube, through the set of APIs which are supporting standard interfaces. So before, now let's move into the actual virtual demonstration, which will be shown on the set of the field trial use cases. Before we start, for each field trial, we need to load the area of interest or the region of interest. These two terms are different from each other. The area of interest, you could see them, these are small, relatively small patches of Earth surface representing a particular site. So this could be a mine, this could be a factory, this could be a particular exploration region, which are then united in a larger region of interest. This is done for the purpose, and these are terms inside of the platform, because the region of interest is used for search of the Earth observation data that covers this particular region. And the areas of interest are used for performance of a certain analysis. So for example, if we need to calculate a certain indexes, if we need to perform a specific tasks and actions on the site, this is what areas of interest are created for, and they greatly simplify and accelerate the processing capabilities. So here you can see the field trial, the depiction of the field trial in the platform GUI for the Germany, the Erzgebirge site. Below there is a representation of the exploration site in Bulgaria. On the next slide, you can see the open pit extraction site in Romania. Finally, there's a site in, so actually not finally, but another field trial, the fourth field trial is in Pyhäsalmi mine in Finland, which consists of 3 areas of interest, which depict the tailing ponds, the extraction pit, the factory and the processing areas of the mine. The last are several tailing ponds in Kosovo, which will be monitored for ecological and geological stability. The areas of interest and regions of interest could be created in the platform GUI by simply drawing them and saving them as GeoJSON files, or exported and imported as KML files. So the goal of the project is to follow the OGC standards as much as possible. And this is why these standards were chosen, because they are OGC compliant standards and they simplify exchange of the data between the Goldeneye platform and other sources. Here's the structure of the data processing in the backend of the platform, which is logically organized to basically enable any processing activities in an easy and structured way. So the work on the tasks in the Goldeneye platform backend is defined and starts with creation of the project, where the general parameters are set and where your regions of interest and areas of interest are associated with the project. Regions of interest and areas of interest are specific to each project. So if you need to work on a different region of interest or need to have a different set of AOIs, which completely in a different location, it is recommended to logically structure your work in different projects. It is possible to have many regions of interest and many areas of interest associated in the project, so you could switch between them in each tasks individually. The tasks are created in the project and they are based on specific templates which are designed to do a particular work, designed to perform a particular analysis. Tasks are usually associated and more narrow, actually they should be as narrow as possible, to the goal that you are trying to achieve with the task, with objectives. So if you have, for example, the analysis which requires Sentinel-1 data for surface displacement, it should not be done in the same task as NDVI index calculation because simply it is impossible because they require different AI knowledge packs, as we call them, and different templates. So when you create a task, at this moment, the template for the objective of the task is selected and hard associated with the task. So if you cannot change the purpose of the task after its creation. So if you need to have another task, you need to create a new task with another purpose. So this is important to remember. The tasks could be switched within the project through the activation, or the system will pick up the default task, which is the last task that was created, unless it was overridden with the explicit task activation. So there are some examples of the user interface of the Oakley and with some metadata. So in this particular case, you see our project server located in CreoDias. You can even see its IP address. It is access to the platform requires the user account. So you have to have the user account, which could be obtained from the Goldeneye consortium. And this is where the platform could be accessed. So you can access the platform from any operating systems, Windows, Mac, Linux, anything you prefer, anything. You can even probably access the system from your iPad if you have remote shell installed on it. And interaction with the Goldeneye backend is performed through the command line. It's an intelligent command line interface which allows the user to ask for help, to perform autocomplete operations, and also a set of service functions. So this is a powerful backend interface which was designed to do very complex and massive tasks quickly. So this is an interface not for the amateurs, but for the professionals, and it requires training. But as I mentioned, this interface is very similar to the very popular platforms on the market, which are designed for complex IT platform orchestration. It is even based along the same principles. For example, the platform is integratable with Kubernetes K8s orchestration engine, so that multiple compute jobs could be, if necessary, performed and ran at the same time on the massive computing infrastructures. So next part of the this presentation, I would like to highlight some of the main components that you as a user will be working in the tasks. So each task must have a region of interest. And the region of interest may have various areas of interest assigned it. If you need to perform complex time series analysis, the inclusion of areas of interest is mandatory. There is a necessity to assign the areas of interest which will be processed in a sequence to a certain pipelines. So pipeline is just a chosen tag. It's just a word. You could use any unique name here, which makes sense to you. But the whole idea is that if you want the pipeline processing to be performed as a sequence for the same task, your pipeline should be the same for all components of the task. So it should have the same name, like either pipeline or you know, call it script 1, script 2, whatever makes sense. There are a concept of buckets. So buckets are dynamically calculated sets of products which are inherently dictated by the specifics of the task that you're trying to perform. For example, if you're planning to perform interferometric analysis for the surface displacement with Sentinel-1 data, the buckets will contain the sets of imagery, like typically it's a level 1 SLC product for example, interferometric analysis, which are suitable for the analysis and performance of a particular task. So in the case of synthetic antenna aperture radar interferometric analysis, the bucket will contain images which are covering the areas or regions of interest to a certain degree and are suitable for interferometric analysis. They are interferometrically compatible pairs or sequences. The same thing goes for any other data. So you could create buckets for Sentinel-2 data and other, although in Sentinel-2 data, the concept of bucket just covers the same footprint. So essentially the images which are aligned on the orbital path and cover the same geographic area. For the change detection and some of the calculation methods, it's also necessary to create the master and the slave, or not create, but define the master and slave images. The terminology comes from interferometric SAR analysis, but the idea is basically that the master is the most recent image and the slave is the older or oldest image in the series. So it enables change detection as well as some change calculations and some change metric calculations. So next slide is also showing some more of the backend structures and components. And this one, this image, this screenshot shows the tasks that have been created in the project, which we called Goldeneye. So you could see here with the gray color, it was the command that operator issued. The task list for the project, so second yellow line is information line. So we say we have a project Goldeneye, and the active task is Goldeneye field trial Finland data samples, for example. Here you could also list all the regions of interest and areas of interest that have been defined. So in this particular project Goldeneye, we have many areas of interest and many regions of interest, which are aligned and organized in a set of processing pipelines, which allow us to perform different activities. Also, you see the statistics measured in area of the target region or area of interest measured in square kilometers, as well as position of the area measured in the radians, in geographic latitude and longitude. Here's another example where you could see the list of regions of interest, which also displays the similar statistics as well as assignment to the pipeline. So here you can also organize the regions of interest in different pipelines. And in this way, you can align and tell the platform that one area of interest is part of the pipeline covering the entire region of interest. It is logical that the pipelines for the regions should be different. Otherwise, you will be mixing the incompatible areas and the system will generate the errors because your areas of interest would be outside of your region of interest, and that will cause an error. Please keep in mind that the bounding boxes here listed here with minimum latitude and maximum latitude will enable us to check if the pipeline is correct, and if it's not matching, there will be a problem generated. You can also preview the material that you collected for your tasks before assigning it to your task. So for example, in this case, we are previewing the configured task with master and slave images selected, and we visualize it against the map of the region and the silhouette of our region of interest. So in this particular case, on the right, you see that the region of interest is the gray area defined. The bounding box of this area is the dotted red line, and these three colored stripes, which are, consist of a lot of horizontal stripes. This is a visualization of Sentinel-1 SLC product, which consists of 3 interferometric swaths. Each swath has its own color. So for example, the slave image, interferometric white 3, which you can probably see on the slide here, is depicted with the yellow color. And because the images sort of overlap with each other, then ideally you should see the picture like this. In some cases, you could have two products which have misalignment of the bursts, or which is a common occurrence with Sentinel-1, which is happening due to the scheduling and the specific of the TOPS operation of the SAR instrument on Sentinel-1. Actually, in this diagram, you could see this specific. The TOPS mode in Sentinel-1 works by periodic scanning, basically making a snapshot of a single burst along the track of the satellite, which periodically switches between first, second, and third swath. This is why you see this displacement along the satellite motion track between 3 swaths, where each subsequent burst is shifted a little bit. The time of acquisition of each burst is around 2.5 seconds. So by the time that this bird acquisition is completed, the satellite moved down the track, and it moved down the track for the third image. So this is a very good visualization, which is not present in other tools. So for example, if you would like to understand the Sentinel-1 acquisition geometry based on ESA snap tool, this visualization is much more simplified. The burst line and the swaths are aligned and much more difficult to understand. But here it's very easy to understand how the overlap between the bursts and swath is occurring as well. So in some cases, you could derive additional analysis if your area of interest is tiny and fits in one burst and between the overlapping area, so you have actually an increased number of imagery to work with, and it's easy to understand. There are also some statistics displayed here about the area overlap of our target area. So in these cases, the area overlap is measured in fraction, and the highest area overlap is close to 19% that we have here. It's because the area is quite large, and it needs to be covered by 2 swaths. Let's move on. So in this slide, we will describe to you how Oakley structure and components of the task are integrating together. So each task has a recipe file. So a recipe file is basically like a cookbook for AI. It tells AI and the processing engine everything it needs to know to prepare and generate this the analysis on the particular on this project. When we create a task is based on AI knowledge pack template. It is selected only once during the creation of the task, and it can be parameterized by the user. So these parameters, for example, for Gaussian mixtures, if you are using Gaussian mixture AI predictors, or specifying which denoising filters you want to engage. How many clusters do you want to generate in case of AI? So this is just an example how different parameters of the AI knowledge packs could be changed by the user when they run the analysis in the Goldeneye platform. On this slide, we show further how the image components are used and arranged and processed in the backend, and how we create the stacks and analysis-ready data tensors in the scope. So again, we take the set of the tasks, which are specified with the master and slave images, with the number of the swath and bursts in case of Sentinel-1, for example. Then we generate the stack, which is the first stage of analysis-ready data. Then it is converted in the tensor, which is enriched with additional data that is often could add additional data sets channels to the data set, and it's all governed with the recipe file. Here's the complete description of the steps, how various products could be created in the Goldeneye backend platform. Usually, if you have to perform these steps anyway, if you use any kind of geospatial analytics tool. I remember the time when I was using ESA Snap tool, which is very great platform, but it requires a lot of skill sets. And I had these papers with the similar checklists written in front of me, often on a yellow sticker next to monitor, which were reminding me which step I need to do when and how. In Oakley platform, this procedure is greatly automated, and it is more streamlined. So after creating your analytical task once, you could even create a script either in Python or as a simple set of bash commands, which are running in the Linux shell. And the very complex steps, which were taking to me personally hours of work with the Sentinel, with the ESA Snap tool, now could be performed in 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on how much analytical data you want to process. And just to give you an idea, the one product of Sentinel-1 data, which includes 3 swaths, could be processed and analyzed in the Oakley platforms in roughly about half an hour. So this is how from the beginning and to the end, and on a highly performance system, it could be probably even performed even faster, because this duration is not requiring human intervention anymore once it's implemented and executed. Here we are going to go into this virtual demonstration, which was supposed to be live, and I will show you how to create the project in the tool, how to publish, how to create and analyze the data, and how to find the data, how to select the data, how to create the products, and how to publish them. So the first step is to create the product. The tool is, these sessions and these screenshots were collected and recorded for the purpose of this presentation by Francisco Gutierrez, to whom I'm giving kudos for this tireless work. He is our geospatial data analyst. And if you are involved in the project, you will already know him. And if you're not yet, so you will become familiar with him. So first we create a new project, and there is a possibility to use help or with the platform which would guide you through the creation of different tasks. In this case, we created the project, a Goldeneye, and we activated the project so that it becomes our active project for default operations in case if we forget where we are. Second step, we create a new task. In this task, we are using the knowledge pack, which was specifically created for Sentinel-2 data processing. You can see it here. We specify it during the creation of the task with the -T option. There are different knowledge packs present in the system, and for different tasks, you need to select it. Remember that this selection must be done only once in the during the creation of the task. So you have created the task, changing the template is impossible because it's too complex. So it's easier, and the standard rule is that you just create a new task for the different template. Here you could verify all the tasks that you have already created in the system. There are plenty, as you can see. Each and any of these tasks could be selected and executed at the operator desire. So in this particular case, the task number 10 here, the Field Trial Germany Sentinel-1 AI pack has been activated. That means that all the subsequent commands which do not specify the task explicitly will be running on this task number 10. Next step is to actually populate and define our regions of interest and areas of interest. So in this case, we are adding a new type of type field. So this is just a type of image of the area which we add. And a particular goal is to perform soil moisture mapping for a specific site in Erzgebirge trial site. One more time, good to verify. We can always verify the created areas of interest and how did we map them. So what type they are, which pipelines they belong to, and what are the geometries. So always good to check and double check your work through the verification steps. Next.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for reminding, Marco. Then I will probably only go through one use case here. And there are other use cases you could use in the recording of this session and just going through them through this presentation as a tutorial. So we are moving on. So we are creating the region of interest in this task and verifying the region of interest. And this is where we have the ability to assign our areas of interest created earlier to the regions of interest. Final step, we are verifying the product list that we have created and the metadata of the task of our recipe and checking that our configuration is correct. So in this case, we are also have the ability to select the imagery for analysis from the buckets, which have been already arranged. And here you could see that your attention is being drawn to the area overlap. So you should always look for the area overlap 1 for this particular bucket. So that means that this bucket is ideal for our use. Here you could see the starting date of the images in the bucket, the products in the bucket, and the end date. The buckets are calculated completely automatically. And there are 30 images. So our master and slave actually already assigned from this bucket to the project. So you could see this with the indication of M and S here. If we would like to look inside of the bucket, this is where the bucket show command is for. We specified the bucket. The naming conventions for the buckets are following the satellite name, the platform, the instrument or the product type, the relative orbit, ascending or descending, and the military grid coordinate. Which are mimicking how Sentinel-2 products names are derived. And here we see all the products that have been placed into the bucket. The verification that the same relative orbit has been selected. By the way, you could modify the number of columns and types of columns which are displayed with additional command line options here, which you can see through the help. And M and S indicate which current two products have been selected for the task that we will be running. One more interesting thing, you could probably note the cycle data. So this is an interesting parameter which helps us to understand how the image drift occurs in the Sentinel-1 products. Because with every orbit, the satellite orbit shifts a little bit. And this gives us the relative shift of the acquisition time in seconds from the mean or average acquisition time. So this product was selected that this is in the middle of the sequence, and the other ones are too early or too late, so they are cycling through. That's why Sentinel-1 requires reset of acquisition schedules periodically, and you could see that in if you work with Sentinel-1 data regularly. So here the selection products have been set and selected. So you could refer to the products by their unique ID, which are 4 last digits in the product name. So here, this is following the Sentinel-1 file standard. And this is like a quick shortcut. One more time, we are verifying the visualization, how our region fits into the bursts, which also indicates that our region of interest actually doesn't need the whole swath. So we could reduce the number of the bursts to speed up the processing. This is some inputs for the configuration. It's the visualization of a second swath, and one more visualization which shows our area of interest for different projects, for different sites. So for example, in Finland, the area is so tiny and so small that it fits on only one burst. So it could be analyzed faster and quicker. So and now let's accelerate a little bit. In this task, number 10, step 10, we are creating the stack. And we create it with the internal on the platform SAR processor, which OpenNet created specifically for this. It's much faster, it's much more universal, and it produced generally better results than, for example, ESA SnapTool does. We create a recipe and refine the recipe. We could also create the bounding box for the zone in case if we don't want to process the whole area. We can visualize the processed stack by using simple mentioning of the band, so it creates the RGB. But we could also do some band math as well on the fly. So this is an interesting ability of the tool to zoom. Here we are showing you how you could zoom in to section of your imagery with the zone, as well as use certain visualization technique, which is using RGB mapping of different components of the generated stack, so that you could analyze if the area that you are using is correctly selected. At this stage, area is not geo-corrected. This is just the visualization of the tensor that was created. That's why it's a little bit skewed, and it would be geometrically corrected in the later stages during the preparation of the visualization of the files in the Cog GeoTIFFs. Because we don't need geo-correction, all we need is the precise co-registration of the pixels of the image at this stage. So again, refinement of our recipes, selection of the certain parameters. For example, we could influence how the analyzed clusters would be depicted in the GUI here by assigning colors, by assigning names, specifying how many channels and which particular algorithms we are using for the AI engine. And now we are assembling the tensor, which is the second step. If you remember, we are now preparing the stack, and then we are creating a tensor. And the tensor can consist many more areas. Again, we could preview and analyze if it fits. We could also see the bad pixels. Bad pixels are the pixels which have exceeded the normal statistical distribution. Also, this could be problems with the acquisition. So sometimes they occur in the raw imagery. So in this case, we have a lot of bad pixels which couldn't be used for analysis. And we will perform the AI fit and then predict steps. which will generate the set of clusters, which then could be assigned different colors and visualized in the tool. The preview allows you to see the data before you visualize and before you publish it and the GUI. And this is basically it. So we are now switching to the next case. So I will skip through this because we are repeating the same procedure, but in this case we are generating the polarimetric SAR image, which you could see here. So it's colorful because we use the coherence and the slave and master, as well as vertical and horizontal polarization for different visualization techniques, which allows us to understand what kind of materials, what kind of surface types we are seeing. Okay, well, I think we are running out of time for the live session, but I'm happy for everyone to keep using the products, to learn from it and use these slides for as your guidelines, as your tutorial during the utilization of the project, of the product. Thank you for your attention, and we are looking forward to work with you in the future.
Thank you very much, Taras. So very interesting presentation. I'm afraid we don't have time questions at the moment. So please join to the networking session latest and be also present in the feed trials, but the questions, I meant to say the questions will be answered in the networking session latest. So let's have a 2 minutes break. So let's continue 11:01 or 2 so that Kamen and Andreas will have time too. So 2 minutes break so that the next presenters can prepare for the presentations, and then we continue. Thank you.
Okay. Did you hear me, Andres?
Yeah, and I see the slides.
Yeah, it's okay. Oh,
It's
that's
okay.
all right. I hear you. Excellent. So I'll start within a few minutes, and you'll continue with your. I'll start first, then you'll continue with the field trial 1.
Great.
Okay. But yeah, you see that Taras didn't have time to present all the things, so we have to be more quick, or if we want to present all the slides.
Yeah, don't worry, Kamen. The idea was that I will just
yes, it was
show,
clear for me and for everybody. If you present one example is enough. Better to have more, but it's good enough, and it was perfect. Very, very good presentation.
Sorry, Taras, I forgot to mention that I will give a note 5 minutes earlier, so I hope it didn't disturb you.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, they see that attendees are only our consortium, so
yeah, it's nothing to do. It's
well, it's a good overview for people who are attending.
it's good training for us.
I think there was at least 1 or 2 outside of the consortium, 1 or 2 names I did not recognize, but the other ones are from in.
Yes, I think so too. Okay, maybe we should start the next presentation, and I will note 5 minutes before the time is up.
Okay.
So I assume that we can run until 11:33 or so. Maybe 25 minutes is enough for the networking in the end. Okay, let's get started. So Kamen and Andreas, the stage is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Marco. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and to present the highlights from the field trial activities that will demonstrate the power of the Goldeneye platform. So we have in the platform and in the field trials 3 types of data. First, we have satellite data, different types of satellites that will focus on safety and environmental footprint. Then we have drone supported data that will be used for geophysical analysis, in particular electromagnetic field measurements and multispectral imaging. This will help for detecting environmental footprints and also for mineral exploration, geophysical data to calibrate satellite-based sensors and also drone-based sensors. Also, we have proximal sensing that include time-gated Raman spectroscopy, active hyperspectral imaging in precise geolocation based on cellular positioning. This will help to improve safety and also will help for mineral exploration to do in situ analysis on mineralogy and exact positioning of the satellite and drone data analysis. Well, for the field trials, we have several field trials to demonstrate solution in exploration in Germany and Bulgaria, then in open pits mine in Romania. Also, we have to demonstrate underground extraction scenario in Finland and post-closure case in Kosovo. All these data will be collected from the field trials and processing to support exploration, extraction, and post-closure use cases. For the first field trial, I'll ask my colleague Andreas to present what they are doing and plan to do in Erzgebirge, Germany. Please, Andreas.
Yes, thank you, Kaman. Good morning also from my side, everyone. Thanks for your time joining. So, first field trial site, Germany, Erzgebirge area. It's a huge area over 5,000 square kilometers already. And it has been famous in the past for silver, uranium, tin, tungsten, lithium mining. And we are especially looking here for stratiform tin mineralizations. And we want to integrate and use at different scales, at different levels, remote sensing data, drone-based data, and then also near-field data for mineral knowledge development or mineral predictive mapping. So the next slide. You can see the area on a local level that we are focusing on. This is the area of Pokaw. It's 29 square kilometers. And there has been an extensive mining activity there in the 17th and 19th century. And you can see on the right side an example of the mineralization we look for with up to 2% of tin in stratiform layers. So on the next slide, we can now see what we actually plan to do in Goldeneye. We want to develop what Taras mentioned, AI knowledge packs in an external offline platform, which is called Advanced Geoprediction Software. And it will be done both in 2D and 3D. So we will look on a rock sample level and do mineral prospectivity in 2D. We also will look at outcrop wall level or scale on site in Pokaw and do mineral prospectivity mapping in 2D there. And then for the larger area, Pokaw, the 229 square kilometers, we will look in 3D for mineral prospectivity mapping. On the next slide, you can now see a list of things that are being done already partly in the field or planned to be done for the ground truthing and for the creation of the required calibration or training data for the different AI knowledge packs and then also algorithms. So we will apply unsupervised and mostly supervised classifications in AI. So we are taking twin sections and we do portable XRF measurements, sphere mapping in the field, also active hyperspectral mapping. And then on drone level, we will do LiDAR and electromagnetics and do detailed 3D geological modeling. Next slide, please. So here you can see the first results from the mapping on a hand specimen scale. So this is on the left side, you can see the first results of the sphere mapping from colleagues from VTT, and active hyperspectral mapping is also in process. And on the right side, you can see the reference data using a portable XRF And these two data sets will now be mapped, and then we will do a prospectivity mapping in 2D on this small scale from our hand specimen. On the next slide, you can see the next step. This is already now an outcrop of a certain rock or mineralization in the field. So it's a larger scale, but still a local coordinate system where we will do the same. So we have already created the ground truthing data with a portable XRF. We have reference data for tin. And now in the next year, it's planned that colleagues from VTT will be there and doing active hyperspectral mapping of the whole outcrop wall, and also do Raman measurements to have additional reference data. Next slide. In order to create a 3D detailed model of the area and in the underground, we are cooperating with Technical University of Freiburg, and they applied handheld LiDAR mapping. So we went into the mine already with the LiDAR and also on the surface, and it's created huge point clouds for the surface mapping of the area and the underground mapping of the mine. Next slide. And this will be then integrated in the 3D model of the area. And what is then also be done in 2022 is then the drone-based survey. So on our side, Beak will perform a LiDAR mapping of the area of a smaller part, and the company Radai from Finland is going to do very unique electromagnetics mapping based on drones. You can see some pictures from their first test in Finland from the past years. Next slide. So we have already a detailed regional scale and geological model. You can see the extract then on the right side bottom for the specific pocket area. It's not detailed enough. So we are now going to refine this model with the new data. So basically the LiDAR data, the underground LiDAR data, and the 3D electromagnetic data that we get from Radai. On the next slide, you can see the different steps that are now required. So we are also taking account detailed profiles that are available. We are creating also the existing mines in 3D. And you can see on the right bottom, this is already the point clouds from the old mines that have been mapped in the underground. This will be integrated into the 3D geological model. And what we want to come up at the end on the next slide is then mineral prospectivity mapping model in 3D. So you can see two examples here from models in the Erzgebirge that we have done in the past, whereas the right picture is something of tin skarns, which have been mapped in 2.5Ds. And then the left bottom is something in 3D. So it will show interpretation where we can find tin deposits of a specific time into depth in the underground. And this is based on surface data being integrated with the drone data and also the near fields data. So with this, I can hand over to Carmen, and you can continue with the other sides.
Okay, thank you, Andreas. So I'll continue with next trail. This is Panagurista, Bulgaria. The target for exploration are porphyry copper and epithermal deposits in the area. Based on infrared and multispectral drone-supported survey and satellite survey, together with the field data, we'll create GIS-based maps for alteration assemblages, and also we'll try to do mineral prediction for most prospective areas for drilling and targeting for exploration. So Panagurista is part of the Srednogoria zone, which is located in the most western part of the global Tethyo-Eurasian copper belt that continue from Europe through Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, and Malaysia. Target for explorations are two porphyry systems, Vlaikovvrh and Saracen, the southern part of the area, and three epithermal gold systems, Elshitsa, Radka to the north, and Krasen. So they're located around granitic intrusion in volcanic sequences of andesitic rocks that have been deposited between 19 and 86 million years ago. Maybe you know that most exploration companies restrict the remote sensing, but this increased the expensive data for geophysical survey, geochemistry, etc. That's why we'll combine several types of data: Earth observation data from satellites, drone-supported mapping in 3D. Here we have example for thermal infrared, and also when and if necessary in this part we test LiDAR system, how it works, where we have grass cover and it's a tree cover. Here's the team from Sofia University that during the field trip collect field samples and data at Vlaikovrak and grassland deposits. Also, we done months ago some stream sediment sampling and panning, and we found visible gold around the river, around this deposit of grassland. And in addition, we'll use portable XRF shortwave infrared mapping, XRD and Raman mapping of minerals during the field trials next year. Also, we've done 3D modeling by means of Flipfrog that will be processed with the VanGeo predicting software, and we'll try to do some prognosis for mineralization in the lateral and vertical extents. Also, with remote sensing data, here is example of old aster image with the places of the operating mines that's now closed, most of them, and will improve exploration targeting and decision making at the end of the day, and we'll try to estimate the mineral potential of the area with preparation of 3D maps and outlining the areas for targeting and drilling. Next field trial is in Roș-Poieni, Romania. The target is exploration for copper ore and low-grade copper, as it is in porphyry system, 0.1 copper. And the aim is to get mineralogical knowledge and also environmental impact assessment around the open pit mine. So here is the picture of the mine and the bottom of the mine, and this is also in volcanic sequences, similar like in Bulgaria, andesitic, and hosted in sedimentary environment. During the field trials, blasting and environmental impact assessment has been done about the blasting, also sampling of the open pit mine and analysis of the sample, and also positioning of the boreholes and analysis of gases. Also, very important for the open pit mines is slope stability, and the modeling has been done by our colleague Dorel for the slope stability of the mine, and it's important for the safety of the mine and further exploration. Detecting acid mine drainage is another task that will be developed. Here you see example of well-established indices and machine learning approach that will be used for analysis of this data in the future. So the expected outcomes for this field trail to reduce blasting, to determine volumes of withdrawn rock, and to manage environmental risk assessment, in addition to prediction of landslides of the benches of the mine. Next field trial is Pihkasalmi mine, Finland, which is one of the deepest mines in Europe. It's copper zinc mine sulfide. And the aim of the field trial is to increase the safety and for mine reuse based on global navigation system, precise system for location in the mine. The mine is located in the Pihavari area, in town of Pihavari, Finland, and has around 1,400-meter depth shaft, which contains some lead, zinc, and copper. But now it's in process of closing. The underground, the mine has two areas: open pit mine and underground parts, together with the tailings. And during the field trials, will be used and has been done at the moment by radar, drone-based multispectral measurements. Here you could see, and here see the visualization of these measurements and part of the monitoring of the tailings around the mine and the piles and waste piles around the mine. Also, this has been, in addition to this, VTT has done drone hyperspectral measurements and also installed corner reflectors that you could see here for referencing as reference point for ground deformation measurements by means of Sentinel-1. You could see here example of the monitoring of mining process and ecological condition of the mine. That is important task, and also automated calculation of temperature indicators of the waste dumps on the surface in the mine. In addition to sizing of stockpiles and active areas of the operation, with the red color, the areas that have been amended in the high level as compared to the other light green areas. Here also will be measured the soil moisture by the time series of Landsat. Here you could see this example, how it goes during the time frame, and also vegetation condition monitoring, which also has been traced during the different time and different months. The expected outcomes to establish and test mine geolocation system that will help to develop the radius of safety. Also will help to monitor unauthorized accidental movement of individuals and machines in the mine, and also environmental monitoring and controlling, which will be improved remarkably by all these tools that we use during the field trials and Goldeneye platform. And here is the plan and the area that will be positioned and used for in-mine geolocation system. And the next field trail is in Kosovo. It's post-closure trail. Here you could see the 7 tailings of the lead zinc mine that will be studied. And there the aim is to monitor the stability of the tailings and acid mine drainage to evaluate, and also to try to evaluate the secondary extraction potential of the tailings, because they contain some, in addition to lead and zinc, they contain some gallium, germanium, indium, tellurium, and selenium, which are important for future commodity development and potential, not only in Europe, but in many applications. Another thing that will focus in Trepča, Kosovo, is tailing stability, which is important for the pollution and erosion, analyzing the land cracks and hazard of seismic events, in addition to investigation of environmental impact with analysis of water quality, dust control, air quality, health impact of the people, and so on. Here you could see the technique of acid mine drainage in two areas, Clement and Artana 1, to tailings in this preliminary study in Kosovo. And also during the field trials will be provided surface sampling, drilling, water sampling, and analysis of acid mine drainage in the area. Well, we have a couple of minutes more, and what I would like to add is that the use case is for development of multi-source Earth observation data platform that we're developing during the project aims to improve the complete life cycle of mining operation. This will include from greenfield exploration and brownfields in Bulgaria and Germany to feasibility study, mine development, closure and post-closure environmental footprints. I would like to focus your attention on this diagram, which shows briefly the expenditure and development of exploration and mining projects. As you could see, the expenses increase as the project develops, and in the early stages of exploration, in brownfield and greenfield, there is a high risk, and with all these tools that will develop during the field trials and with the Goldeneye platform, we could reduce these expenses for the mining companies in the way that we will reduce the time for area selection by using drones, satellites for quick targeting and decision making. And these are two important keynotes for decision in mineral exploration. One is when you decide, are you going to proceed with pre-feasibility, feasibility study, and to start operation for ore reserves calculation. And this is critical. If you select a suitable target, are you going to develop these targets? And another critical thing is after the feasibility study, are you going to decide to develop a mine? Because if you decide this, you need huge investments. Depending on the size of mine, this about 100 to 300 millions as common practice. On the other hand, there is a huge risk on all these mining activities, starting from prospecting, exploration, mine development, and closure and post-closure. That include also environmental impact assessment, and all these things need to be monitored, and there is interest from the mining companies. And also this will be a pilot project that aims to improve mineral deposits exploration for different cases. We have examples for copper, gold, tin, lithium, etc., different commodities. Some of these elements, like lithium, are critical metals that need special attention. In addition to gallium, germanium, indium that could be extracted from some of the mining sites. And also, important thing is that I said quick targeting and decision making. For example, if we have an area that is 5 or 100 square kilometers, we need to decide quickly, the mining company, where to focus their exploration. So in this case, using the remote sensing based on satellites and drones, we could target quickly for within a month. For example, 2 months, where is the most promising area? This could save, let's say, 5–10 millions amount of money budget for exploration, and to reduce these budgets to 10% of this. If we reduce the time for exploration, for mapping. For example, to map this area, you need 5 years and about 20 people, geologists, and with additional equipment and techniques to do this. If you select about 5-10 square kilometers from the huge area, you could save this money and focus on quick targeting. Another important thing for the whole platform, the project and the field trials is to attract investors in new space economy that is developing and will attract mining companies to invest in this remote sensing study and products that we're trying to develop. And this, at the end of the day, we improve profitability in the mining operations, which is important for the mining companies and for the economy. So that's all from my side. Thanks to your attention. Thanks to the contributors that are listed here, all the participants in the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamen and Andreas. And we are back on time now, so the schedule is holding. There would be even time for some questions, but I don't see any in the chat. Please use the chat for the questions. Okay. It would be time to start the networking session, but for some reason I don't see Seva here.
No worries. I will be taking over for this one.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a last minute change on our side.
Okay.
And so here, welcome everybody again. So to this networking session. And well, I promised at the previous part of the presentation session that we would like to start with showing the live demonstration of the GUI product of the platform that we developed to visualize some of the things that have been done on the project and also to encourage the discussion among the participants. So in order to do this, I will share my screen now. Hope it all works as intended. Right, so I'm gonna move things. If you have questions, please type them in the question form of the WebEx. And Marco, could you please relay the question to me, because when I'm presenting, I'm not seeing these questions.
Certainly.
Yeah, thank you very much. So let's go to the demonstration of the GUI developed. So after the login, so currently the platform is operational. It has a limited number of users, but it is deployed in the Amazon cloud. So the GUI is accessible and the AI assistant is working and the data from the project sites is available and streaming into the platform. So the main components of the GUI are consisting with the interface to the artificial intelligence assistant, which is serving the user, the operator, and presents various results that have been achieved by the analytical part in the backend. There are toolbox, which is used to perform some basic tasks such as measurements, defining the areas of interest, polygons, deleting them, zooming in, skipping to locations, etc. And there is also the navigation panel, which allows to switch between different modes, as well as to activate the spanning and positioning. And at the bottom of the screen, you see the informational panel about the current zoom factor, the geographic position of the cursor or the hand, and the current scale of the map. In the bottom, there's attribution part, which dynamically changes when the different imagery and different data is served to the user. So you can actually talk to the AI. For example, let's be nice and greet the AI, and it would reply. The AI is made in a way that you can always ask him for help, and the interaction with the platform is very simple. So you can, for example, ask him to show me, well, London, right? The interface is to the AI is actually following the human language interface. So it understands the basic commands. So but we expect you to follow the certain pattern. The first should be the verb. Then, well, you could optionally use like adjectives like me. Then the area of interest should always be capitalized to help AI to understand that this is not just some, normal word, but this is actually the geographic area. So you can ask, let's actually visualize some of the results of the Goldeneye project. So show me all results, and you could specify what do you want to show, mines, time series, fields, whatever you're looking for. But in this case, I would like our AI to show me everything. And I will start with Bulgaria case. And I will limit the range of the findings that I would like to see to 100 kilometers. By default, the range is 500 kilometers, and because we have several sites collocated in close vicinity, then we will see too many results at once. Okay, demo effects, no documents. Okay, let's increase to 150 because we are measuring from the center of the region. So let's actually increase it a little bit more to 200. I hope we're not catching Romania in this. Okay, now we're getting it. So we are calculating the availability of products from the geographical center of the region that was specified. So that's why when I specified Bulgaria and gave the range, which is too small, then the centers simply didn't fall in. So into the search criteria. We can start with looking at the Sentinel-2 imagery, which was acquired. So you could get information about the metadata, which products were used to calculate and generate this imagery, and which project and which region of interest is used. So if you click the product in the selection window, it immediately becomes selected and added to the layers. What you can do here, we can use different underlay or base layers to visualize the map. So for example, I'm switching from the satellite imagery to the map. And here we can also switch to the 3D mode, so enable the 3D mode, and I will also enable the camera motion. So I will kind of like reposition it and get closer. So things like mountains and other interesting things will be displayed for us. We can zoom in and see the 3D objects clearly visible. We have also prepared the polarimetric SAR visualization of this area. So here they slightly overlap. And I would like to show you how to be able to use these. So let's move in and let's select the mountains area where we could actually see some geometry on the surface. And let's say that I would like to see and zoom in to the data with the special tool that we developed. It allows us to see several layers at the same time. So for example, we will start with the polarimetric SAR visualization. And let's say that I'm interested, what are these yellow spots here represent to us? So I will select this is the top layer. Then I would like to see the street map. And I would also like to see the satellite view from the base level underneath it. And I will increase the range of the visibility. And here is my tool, which allows me to drill through various results and see what is displayed here. So for example, it's clearly becoming visible that the yellow area depicted in the polarimetric SAR image is actually a small village called Rozino in Bulgaria. So
Yeah.
you could select dynamically. Carmen, could you guide me to the area which is more interesting?
Yeah. Could you move to the south a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, just
Starocell.
okay, let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. What is it?
Yeah, so this is what we can see based on the generic interpretation of polarimetric SAR imagery. The colors have the following meaning. The green in this visualization scheme means that the area with low coherence and average strong return of the radar signal, which typically indicates a lot of change, and this is what's given to us by vegetated area. And if we look at it, it's mountainous regions with a lot of vegetation.
If we could go to the south, it's south of Panagyrista. Starocell is to the north. Just move to the south. Yeah.
More to the south. Okay.
More to the south. Yeah, please.
So we have some blue areas, for example, which are lakes. So they typically come as blue or black, depending on the state of the waterbed of the lake. So there's windy or not. The SAR signal could be giving us different areas. So do we see anything interesting coming?
No, more to the east. And let me see. It's oriented to the north image.
Right now, yes, it's oriented to the north.
Yes, it's okay. A little bit more to the south, just south. This is Sidinenia, and now we are somewhere here. Yeah, it's up. It's okay to the east.
East.
Okay.
Yeah, now we have already Plovdiv, so large city.
Now we're in Plovdiv. So then to the west, we have to move west of Plovdiv. West of Plovdiv, and maybe here this is Panagyrista to the a little bit to the north.
North. So this is the Panagyrista area.
Yes, where is Panagyrista?
Tsalapica.
No, it's maybe this is Panagyrista to the north.
To the north. Jalak, Tsarimir.
No. To the west a little bit. To the west.
To the west.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
This is east for me. West, yeah.
West.
A little bit more. This should be here. The yellow spot, Panagyrista. Yeah. No, it's Sidinenia. This to the south.
Okay, let's zoom out.
Yes, let's zoom out because it's
and I will switch quickly the visualization layers. So I will show you how to quickly.
I think this is Panagyrista here.
How to quickly get things.
Let's see what we're looking. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the map.
Panagyrista is to the here. To the here is Panagyrista.
This is
to the north.
Here.
No. Now to the east. To the no, not so much. Here, if you see, okay, stop here and move to the, no, a little bit to the north, a little bit, more, and go to the west. Now to the west.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
See, okay. So this is the area here. It's important to see the faults by these INSAR images.
Yeah, so we have this. Yeah, okay. So let's enable our layers.
Now, if we have here this area, yes,
I see.
Here, this area is important. You could see the changes of the colors, so with bright colors. And this is so-called cross and fault. It's huge fault zone. This in this area.
Right. Okay.
This one. You could enlarge it a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, we could also amplify the terrain a little bit.
Yes.
To emphasize the mountains, because this area is not very mountainous, but to help us with visualization and actually to visually detect, because with the 2D screen, we don't see the 3D objects, but
Yeah,
now
exactly.
it's much easier to understand what's happening. So we can see how
easier. This is the green color of the mountains. Here you have a river and a
rivers.
fault.
Yes.
And could you enlarge this part a little bit to the south when you have yellow? This is Popinci, should be Popinci. I think the
Anagorista, Bata.
yes, a little bit to the east, a little bit to move.
East. Okay.
A little bit more. Okay, here in this area.
Huh?
This what is this here? The yellow spot and green one.
Yeah, so this is interesting because we see here a lot of different colors in the radar visualization. Of course, this visualization is very coarse, so we have about 20 meters per pixel. And you could already see very interesting colors where the sands are visible. Well, of course, cities are always yellow, but this blue, pink, red colors are interesting because they indicate the different content of moisture in the ground. So, for example, where you see blue, that is typically indicating the areas where the strong cross-polarization is happening of the reflected signal. And that could be happening because of moist soil or because of specific properties of the soils or rocks in which are exposed to the radar.
I wish to add, in geological point of view, these dark blue areas, they mark regional faults. You could see here in this part and in this part.
Okay, very interesting. And now, the last but not least, we can show you the clusters which were detected by AI based on the similar data which we used for the polarimetric SAR. And we can enable these clusters which could be further studied at the same time and showing us which predictions AI made based on the different reflections and the different backscattering of the radio signals, the SAR. So it's based on the same data set that was presented in this pulsar, but we could analyze it on the sequential time series, basically how the data is changing based on seasons and between acquisitions for the change detection, as well as we could also use these polarimetric changes. So this is where things like vegetation, urban areas, different types of rocks are becoming detected easily, and they are being mapped and visualized for analysis on this map. So if higher resolution data is used, like with commercial data, these visualizations are becoming much more valuable. So the GUI allows us to show up to 32 layers of visualization simultaneously. So you could drill and analyze and perform different visual inspections, comparing different data which have been displayed with AI here on the fly. You could move the layers, rearrange. So if I want to move, for example, my Sentinel-2 image to the top, so and I will just drop it up. Okay, let me be careful when I share my screen, and I will drop it around this way. Yeah, so okay, I moved the wrong one. When I share my screen, I'm kind of losing the precision. Okay, now it does what I want. So I moved the Sentinel image to the top of the stack, and my polarization is below it, and the clusters are below that. So I can select a different set. So let's say I would like to have this cluster in the middle, and right, I will add it to the lens. And you see this blue cluster starts appearing at the outer rim of my my lens. So if I see something interesting, I'm coming here and I'm analyzing what it is. So Agriculture is very interesting, visible in a good way, because it gives us moist areas with which are having so in this case it's aligned with irrigated area, I think, or with a particular type of vegetation. So this is interesting to monitor in this view. So seeing the ability to see multiple bands and visualized bands at the same time is very powerful, because it allows the human eye to see the invisible and allows the human brain to understand something that was not understandable easily before we had this visualization. And last but not least, we can also, I think, even add the drone data, which was acquired from, it's going to be added to the top. I think this is a drone orthomosaic that was provided by you, Professor Kamen. So it's a large file, so it will take a little for it to load. And once the loading is finished, we will zoom to it. I hope we didn't exceed the number of layers. Yeah, here it is.
Yes.
So you have it on top.
Could you analyze the eastern part of this hill?
The eastern part here.
This western, yeah, this one.
This
Around
one, yeah.
this is old volcano. You could see the ring structures. Not to the just.
Okay,
to the,
yeah. I'm looking at trying to see the rings.
Yeah.
So here they okay. This is volcano, right? So and it's a popular.
And this another volcano. I'm interested in the another one. This one.
This one.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one on the top, from the top. Yeah.
Yes.
And could we analyze all these blue?
Yeah. Let me bring the polarimetric SAR image to the top. So I will disable the clusters for now, so that they don't interfere with my view. I will bring the Sentinel-1 pulsar to, actually I will bring it as a second, and I will make it, and I will make it, I will add it to my lens. So here are
yes, we're interested exactly in this area that you are now.
A very bright area, so a lot of different colors, especially in this segment. So let me move the pulsar to the very top now.
Yeah, could you focus on the top of the volcano? Where is the?
Yeah, so this is the top of the volcano.
Yes, you could see here the green.
We see yellow areas which are clearly outcrops of rock. So the yellow areas are solid, and with the white areas being extremely solid areas. Typically, we see them in the urban areas. You see this white circle. So let me disable the lens.
Yeah, white circle. This the Popinci village probably.
Let's enable the lens again, and in this case I will modify the selection. So I will make it like this. So I don't see the village here. This is an interesting area.
It's not a village.
This is not a village. This is just a ring structure, which is well, it should be forest, but nevertheless the rocks are going outcropping through, and we see with the strong reflected signal. Probably this area even acts as a corner reflector.
So could you later enlarge this piece and send it to me to analyze, because we're preparing now analysis of this data. Maybe this is the top of this volcano.
Yes, it looks like it.
Yeah. It looks like, this is.
You can have this analysis done yourself now, because the GUI is available, and you could actively explore all the data sets, and you could give us more of the data sets, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Which could be visualized better. So I'm going to add the orthomosaic image to this, so that you could see. So that this is the area that's giving you a very high signal. So it's barren, so it's not forested as shown here. I don't know why. Is it because you were acquiring the drone imagery in the different seasons than the satellite baseline?
Yeah, maybe.
And that's what's giving us a very strong
reflection.
reflections for the radar. So the yellow areas are rocks. The red-yellow areas are interesting too, because this is could be some strange geological formation or shapes.
Yes, this the outcrop of secondary quartzites in the area. There's a lot of quartz area, silicified area.
Yeah, very interesting. And as you see, the maps are showing us nothing, and the the topological map also doesn't give us a lot of details because it's incorrect. You see, the second concentric circle shows us the topological map, and it is not what we see here. We see a deep here.
Yeah.
And here it shows that there's no deep. This is just literally a smooth slope of the volcano.
Yes, we took samples just in this area, so it's interesting to check them. And
Yeah, we are waiting to receive the EM scans of this area, the LiDAR scans of this area, and perhaps some more in situ measurements. And we will, I think, if necessary, we can already add this area to more detailed image acquisition, so we could order TerraSAR in multiple polarizations, so that we could get a high resolution view of this area during the field trials when they begin next year.
It will be very good.
Yeah. So any more questions from the audience and people who have been monitoring this?
May I have a question?
Yes, of course.
So if we select and know that, for example, the yellow color, some altered rocks, can we train the image to, if they're tested, verified in this area, that these andesitic rocks with quartz, to map them like this?
Yes, of course. So the clusters that we have here could be adjusted. The parameterization of the AI algorithm could be tuned so that it would find these features that you are looking for. Okay. So then they will be automatically mapped, and you just select the desired cluster, like here I'm doing here. So I will bring this to the top.
Yes, we'll do it. We'll test it. It will be very useful.
And you will have a map of the area that looks for specific parameters. And then we could use it even more, because right now this analysis was only performed based on Sentinel-1 data. But because we are adding Aster and we are expecting to acquire Worldview 3 imagery with multiple near-infrared bands. So these predictions could be refined in terms of different data sets, right? As well as high resolution. So by combining SAR, electromagnetic, and near-infrared and shortwave infrared images in multiple resolutions in different spectra acquired in different time, we could feed this to AI and apparently find new findings.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
So another interesting site, so I will quickly reset this and I will show you this, because this open pit site is very well impressive. So here we are, and I will enable 3D view. I will switch the amplifier a little bit, and we will rotate. So here you can see the open pit in details.
Yeah, this Rocha Poeni?
Yes, this is Rocha Poeni, and this part is the ortho image from the drones.
Yeah.
And this one is the base layer, which was acquired several years ago by, I'm checking, we are getting it from Digital Globe, so I think it's one of their satellites. And if we zoom in to the higher level, we could see individual trucks here in this imagery. And at certain magnification layers, we even see stones which are visible.
Yes, you see also the fault here, which is
too fast.
Very, very good details.
Yeah, so we just have to wait a little for the system to extract this layer and present it to us. So yeah, all this becomes possible because analysis of the imagery in highest details from various data sources becomes easy with Goldeneye platform, which is typically not the case. So you need very specialized platforms. So just to compare, to do the same thing in ArcGIS, it would be a lot of effort. And to do the same things in QGIS or ESA-SNAP is impossible. So if you would like to visualize polarimetric SAR data together with drone imagery, together with base layer, together with clusters, you can forget about it. And if you want to visualize the time series, which we are going to show you here, so there are 3 sites, for example, where we were measuring the moisture indexes. And we could focus on this one because we have the optical side, and we can visualize the time series for the ORVI index. So we see different dates where we were calculating the ORVI. ORVI is a radar vegetation index, which also is a good representation of the moisture for the area. So this parameter is calculated as an integral value for the entire area, or represented as area of interest with this yellow. And if I click on any of the buttons, it would show me the raster image for this particular index.
There is one question in the chat.
Yes.
Can you show the Sentinel-2 clusters from Bulgaria? Thank you. It's from Francisco.
Sentinel-2 cluster from Bulgaria. Okay,
yeah.
Let me do that, of course. So let's scroll up. Sentinel-2 clusters from Bulgaria. It's this one, right? I think. So I will switch it on. I will add them one by one.
Yeah.
So this is clusterization results based on Sentinel-2 bands, which were performed with the data that I showed you earlier in these images. There are some cloud presence, unfortunately, in them, but overall the results are pretty satisfactory already. I am just expecting and waiting to see the results that we will receive with Worldview 3 when we get them. That would be even better.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to say, but I think our time seems to be up.
Yes, well, we still have some, maybe a couple more questions, networking. I see we have, I don't know if if attendees can speak or join, but we see somebody from Space Force.
I can give them the turn to speak. They raise their hand and you allow them to.
Oh, very
turn.
good.
So then I
Very
can
good.
I can give this possibility. Let me know.
Of course. So anybody present of the attendees wants to network, please raise your hand and we can bring you to the panel so that you can speak. Everybody's too shy. Yeah, this is the disadvantage of the virtual meetings, that we could not easily interact with the audience. Otherwise, we would just. I enjoyed in the past the Phiweek breakout events where the networking session was naturally achieved by the end of the presentations, and then people were going for coffee and discussing interesting topics. Well, now
Do you want me to unmute them all? So basically, this way everybody can talk together.
Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, if there are no
other
things, it's difficult also to present and not to see people's faces. That's another
true.
disadvantage. But I really hope that in the next version of this workshop, we will have more lively interaction with the audience in person.
It's always easier. I agree.
Yeah, I would like to thank you at the end of this to all the presenters and organizers of this side event for preparing and for arranging this session from myself and from my company. And thank you very much.
Thank you also from my
Thank
side. It
you.
was a pleasure to follow the presentations. They were excellent. And I hope everybody has enjoyed the conference and have a nice weekend all. And if you have any questions or you wish to contact us, it takes place via all the attendees and also via me. So feel free to contact if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye until
Thank you,
we
everyone.
meet again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.